motivation comes and goes. It's consistency and discipline is what you need to have.
Running with Maverick and Wolfman. Maverick here.
Wolfman here. We have a special guest for you tonight. Before we get to that, make sure you find us on Facebook, Instagram, the biggest one, YouTube. While you're on YouTube, please consider subscribing. That's what helps us come to you and people like you. So please do that. All right. So I said we had a guest. He ran cross country in high school and junior high school. He was a two-time state medalist at the high school level, ran 4 years for ESU and 1 year at Charleston while he was getting his grad degree. National qualifier in cross country at both of those schools. Since then, he teaches, he coaches, he has run a 62-minute, 20-second half. That's an hour and 2 minutes for those doing the math. He's won the Diamonds. He's won the Bridge Run, which I believe he set a record, but I'm not positive. And he also just won a 15K and course record time that stood for 44 years. Please welcome Casey.
Hey.
There he is. How you doing, Casey?
Just, as much as I would like to say I ran a 62-minute half, it was a 65-minute half.
Oh, yes. My bad. I read that wrong. I'm sorry.
As much as I would, like to take the credit for that.
Maybe the next one.
Yeah. My bad. Is that a personal best, the 65?
The 65:20, I'm pretty sure, is my personal best.
Nice. Hey, I mean, it's still a great time. Good. You want to start with questions, Mav? I've got
absolutely. Right. Okay, so recap. We Wolfman said you ran for East Stroudsburg University and then Charleston.
Yes.
Okay. So grad school at Charleston. How was that? It's warm down there.
Yeah, it's Charleston, West Virginia, just to start, because everybody thinks it's North Carolina, South Carolina, whatever, and they get all excited. I tell them it's West Virginia, they kind of. But it's definitely warmer. It still gets cold. Right. You still get some snow down there, but winter training down in Charleston's definitely not as harsh as winter training in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah, a cold year this year.
Yeah.
So did you? Because I mean, you run in like different climates then, right? Like, so you ran in, the Poconos, and you ran there, and you ran, where you're originally from. So, do you feel like there's a difference in the location and how you can train?
I wouldn't say there was been a huge difference. Maybe slightly. Like going back to ESU, we would sometimes get that snow from the Poconos, all that stuff, but we had an indoor track. Right. So, our workouts were never really that affected. We might have to change things if we're planning on doing a tempo outside, maybe change to something on the track. But so that was nice. And then Charleston, while we didn't have an indoor track, it was kind of flipped. The weather wasn't as bad; it was more mild, so we were able to still get most of our work in. I'd say the biggest thing, climate-wise, that's been a struggle is since graduating. just trying to do winter workouts. If I try to do anything that's like faster, more speed endurance, I struggle with that. I struggle with that stuff in general, to be honest, but especially when I'm doing it before work and it's 10 degrees outside.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest difference I've noticed.
Yeah.
So what is your motivation? Are you running for a company at this point? Are you sponsored? Are you running for some other goals?
I don't have any sponsorships, so right now I'm kind of, I would say, in limbo. I'm waiting to see what the trial standards for the U.S. Olympic trials in the marathon are going to be, because that is what I ultimately would like to do, is qualify for that, to say I competed for an Olympic spot. But I'm just kind of waiting to see what those are like, because from what I've been reading online, there is talk that it's just going to get a lot harder because they don't like the amount of people that are qualifying for the trials. So if the standard comes out at something like 216, 217, like I feel like if I have a good race, I could reach that in the next few years. But if they come out and it's like 211, 212, just being realistic, unless I really pop off a race, I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'd have to reassess my goals after that. But that's kind of loosely, I would say, the trials right now is what I'm working towards.
So most focused on the Olympic trials.
Nice. Have you done a full, Casey?
I did one full. I did
Okay.
grandma's. I think it was 2023.
Okay.
First,
I think I knew that actually.
yeah. The first 19 miles went great, and then I didn't fuel enough in it. It went downhill really quick.
Would you say that was the wall, 19?
Yeah.
It gets you.
Yeah.
It's better at 19 though than at like 8, I would say.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
What was your time with that? Sorry, man.
I think it was 226. To be honest, like I didn't pay too much attention to the time.
Yeah.
I was going for sub 218, which was the trials time.
Yeah.
And once like I knew I was going to be way off that, I was like, I don't care. Like my goal the last few miles is literally just don't walk.
Gotcha.
So that was your. I mean, that's a pretty solid time on your first go at it, though. I mean, most people struggle with moving up in distance and running well.
Yeah, say it definitely didn't go the way I wanted, but I think if I can just get the nutrition and stuff down, I'll be good. Because so far through my running career, the longer the race has gotten, the better I do at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I was better at cross country than track in high school. I when I got to college, you're running 8Ks, 10Ks postseason, so I was better at that. In track, I was always like, even as a freshman, running 10Ks. So this just typically as it gets longer, I do better. So I think as long as I can figure out the nutrition.
Yeah. But I mean, like that. That's what I'm saying. Like that's for your first one. Like that's solid.
Yeah. So that's something I'm playing with right now too, is the fueling while running. So what are you doing right now? Like how do you fuel during these long runs? Pre-run, post-run, during the run? What's your tactic right now? What are you doing?
So right now, I really haven't done anything too marathon specific because I'm not going to run a marathon until the trials window opens back up.
Yeah.
Should just to do another one, but my fear is I'll run the time outside the window.
Yeah, right.
And the window opens up and I never hit the time. So
that's fair.
But like when I was training for it, it was just kind of gels. I would have I'd either set up bottles before my long run, or I'd have my dad drive out and meet me at certain points and get a bottle there. And just kind of stuff like in general, even when I'm not doing marathon prep, I try to get some sort of simple carbohydrate in like relatively quickly after I do any run, but especially if it's a workout. Just because there is like a lot of studies that the quicker you can get your blood sugar back up, the better it helps with your recovery.
Sure.
I skimmed the article. I didn't read the whole thing, but I think Let's Run just put out an article about Hobbs Kessler. You guys know who he is?
I think I've heard the name.
He took fifth at the Olympics in the 1500, also qualified in the 800, and it just put out a thing about how like after every workout he eats a Rice Krispies treat right after, just so he can get his blood sugar right back up.
Yeah.
So just trying to do something like that, just help with the recovery.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where that could be. I've been dabbling with this Morton. I've been talking to Lori Kingsley, who I'm sure you know,
Yeah,
about it, and I would say like I haven't got it dialed in yet, but the feeling after, like the soreness the next day and stuff is way less than when I was using like the goos and stuff. And if you look at it, I mean, it's sugar basically is
yeah,
all you're taking in with these this gel that they have. It's just sugar and lots of it.
yeah.
So what do you do any protein or anything afterwards for recovery, or it's just trying to get that blood sugar up?
So I'm not as like need to get in as fast with the protein, but I do
Yeah,
try at least. Really, I like 30 minutes, but if it's within an hour, I get some kind of solid protein in.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'm typically good,
I
but
gotcha.
the big thing is just kind of, at least in my opinion, the big thing is just getting your blood sugar.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Wolfman's pre-race meal? What do you what are we thinking about that?
What is this pre-race meal?
Dunkin' Donuts, if it's available, which typically there's Dunkin' Donuts around, but sausage, egg, and cheese, croissant,
Okay, yeah,
and extra large hot coffee.
okay. I think I've heard you say that before. Uh, I say, like, and I tell the kids I coach this, it's really like everybody's different. It's whatever works for you. Like, because I've had teammates that they would eat, if the race was in the morning, they'd eat nothing besides
Mm.
maybe a granola bar, and that would be it. And I've had teammates that they could probably eat like 3 slices of pizza, go out and race, and hit a PR. So it
Right.
just
So
kind of depends
I'm the
on.
first one, and Wolfman is definitely the second one.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything that gets you going and gets you feeling good, I think you just gotta find what works for you.
Is that your pre-race meal as well? The same thing I have?
No, I would definitely puke if I did that.
I
So
think
it's
I'd puke
usually
on
like
purpose if I
oatmeal
did
or
that.
something. Yeah, probably. I probably puke before the race because I'd be safer off doing that.
So, what's your pre-race meal?
Uh, if it's in the morning, which now especially that I'm out of college, most of my races are.
Yeah.
It's oatmeal. Like I'll put some peanut butter in it, and then either some kind of simple sugar, whether it's honey, maple syrup, sometimes Nutella, and then if I feel like kind of hungry a couple hours out, I'll usually eat like about half of a Cliff Bar, and then that's about it.
I gotcha. I think uh, you might be the second person that's talked about putting peanut butter in oatmeal. That would never cross my mind, but I might have to try it now, just to try it. Like
I don't think I've
I
ever
usually
eaten
eat.
oatmeal without peanut butter.
What's that?
I don't think I've
You've
ever
never
eaten oatmeal without peanut butter.
Oh, really? Like I'm like if I'm eating oatmeal because I like to have a full breakfast before I run, but sometimes time doesn't allow that, so I'll have oatmeal. But it's oatmeal, brown sugar, uh, maple syrup, and some cinnamon in there, and that's it. But I'm gonna have to try this peanut butter. I'm curious now.
Yeah, I think it's the move, but
Crunchy or just creamy or
usually just creamy.
The peanut butter breaks down slower inside, so you're able to like burn that off over time. That's what's good about that.
It
yeah,
keeps it satiated a little bit longer.
yeah.
Right.
I'll do like if I get home and I have time to do a run before I go to like track or cross country practice, I'll have a spoonful of peanut butter and a spoonful of honey and then go out for my run. But never tried it in the oatmeal. I'm gonna.
So, Casey, you won the Run for the Diamonds. That's a pretty big accomplishment. Most people strive for years just to try to get close to winning a diamond, let alone win the whole thing. So what was that like?
It was pretty cool. It was definitely something I want to do at least once, especially after I think it was 2022. I took second, but it was very bittersweet because I took second, but I think I ran the eighth or ninth fastest time like ever. So it was like I ran a time that would win over 100 times, but I still I still took second. But
Wow.
that guy he was a
You're
stud. He
actually
was like
right.
a 13:40 5K runner. Uh, so that was like going into this or last fall. That was something I just really wanted to do. I thought it would be a lot closer than what it was, just because every time I ran it back in COVID because there was really nothing else going on, and that year I had to fight with somebody the whole way in to get a
Yeah.
diamond, and then the year before I said I was fighting with that one guy until about a half mile left when he dropped me, and then this year, I think it was going up the hill around 2.5 miles. I could kind of like sense that the people around me were laboring more than I was, so I decided to make my move then. And I pulled away, and like after that, I just kind of ran by myself. It was definitely a weird feeling being at a diamonds and just kind of running by
Yeah.
yourself.
How'd you
Now,
like that hill? Oh, sorry, Matt.
I was gonna say I never ran it, so you have to fill me in. Wolfman keeps telling me about it with his
Yeah.
extensive knowledge of the Diamonds Run on Thanksgiving. But so 2.5 miles in, like what kind of pace were you running when you kind of shook the competition?
Uh, trying to think. I think we were going honestly about 7 minute pace up the hill on the steepest part, which going back to the first year I ran it, I remember doing that and I was working. And obviously that was 4 years ago, so I should be fitter now. But going up it this year, it just felt really easy. So that's kind of why I decided to make my move. I don't really know what my pace was once I picked it up, but it definitely slows you down. Like if you can get up the hill, like I figured I was going to run fast a couple years ago when I got up the hill, and I think I ran that mile in about like 5:40, something like that. Like if you're well under 6 minutes for that mile, then either you're gonna run a fast time or you ran too hard and you're gonna blow up.
So what is it? It's like a mile long climb, or what is it?
I think it's about a mile and a half climb.
Yeah. I clocked it last year. On my drive in, I come down it, and it's at least a mile and a half, but it's after you're almost 2 miles deep in the race, aren't you? By
Yeah,
the
like
time you hit this
I
hill.
think it's just before 2 miles
Yeah.
you hit
Yeah.
it, and it's just
So you're
a long
just getting
steep
warmed
uphill.
up,
Yeah,
and then you hit this monster climb,
Hmm.
and people are having a tough time with it. Then what happens after that? Does it level
so
off, or do you go downhill?
like after that, you basically get into rolling
Yeah.
downhills, is what I call it. Like you're going mostly downhill, but you get a few bumps along the way going back up. And what
Yeah.
my original plan was I was going to make a move till we got to that part. Because basically, if you can get up to the top of that hill feeling at least somewhat relaxed, like you can run a pretty fast time there if you get up there feeling somewhat relaxed and you just bomb that part.
Yeah.
Because that is essentially what I did a couple years ago when I ran the faster time. Was I got up there, I still felt good, and then me and the other guy just trying to drop each other. We're bombing the downhills. So that was my original plan. It was just I kind of sensed going up the hill that I could break away right there. And I also figured if I get to the top of this hill feeling good and bomb it, none of them are going to catch me. So if I put a gap here now, then the
Yeah.
race is basically over.
Yeah.
So it's 9 miles. What was your time?
Uh, when I when I won, I think it was just over 45 minutes,
That's
which
impressive.
yeah,
So
like
Wolfman, what's the math on that?
I think it's like 5
So
minutes a
about
mile.
Yeah, it's like 5
yeah,
minutes.
so about
Yeah.
you're just about 5 minutes per mile because it's 9 miles, or is it over 9?
I always
It's
clock it a
basically
little
over.
over, but they say
Yeah.
it's
Okay, so it's a little long. So you're running at least 5 minutes per mile with a 1.5 mile climb in the second to third mile
yeah.
range. That's crazy.
And if I recall, there's when I run it, I feel like you get to the top of that hill, and I usually like that's where I just hold strong and go. And then I feel like everybody gets all this hope, and then there's one more little
Yeah.
roller
Yeah.
before you start your downhill to the halfway turn, because the halfway you like turn around practically to
Yeah.
start going down into town. And that man, that roller, I've heard some things when people see that, and I'm just like, that's part of it.
Yeah. So it's not a. If you're not feeling it that day, it's a pretty unforgiving
Yeah,
course.
yeah. And the
I could
weather,
just imagine
you
being
never know what the weather's going to be there.
Yeah,
You know,
because
you can
2
have
years
a
ago
perfect
it was
day, or you
great.
can have, man,
Yeah.
terrible.
Like last year was not very nice weather. I
No, no. Was it raining? I can't remember, but it wasn't.
think it was raining leading up to it. It rained like it
Yeah,
slowed down for the race, but it wasn't a downpour.
yeah. It wasn't the best diamonds weather I've run in, but it wasn't the worst either.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
could
fun.
just imagine signing up for that race and like being from like an area that's never heard of it. I mean, like, oh, there's a Thanksgiving race in this town that's by where I'm going, so I'll just jump in and see how it goes. And then you see that 1.5 climb, and you're like, "Are you kidding me? You're kidding me, right?"
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you would know that you're driving down it coming in from some locations if you didn't know the course. So
Yeah.
some people probably drive down it thinking, "Oh man, hope I don't have to come up that." Then they
Break,
start their race,
break
and it's
check.
like, "Yep, you're going up that."
However, just to put it out there for everybody, if you run hills regularly, they get easier. You get more
Yeah,
efficient.
for
Your
sure.
body gets used to
Yeah,
it. So like anybody coming from an area where they're running a lot of mountains and hills, like they're going to have an advantage on that versus someone coming from flat areas, cities and
yeah,
flatlands.
yeah,
Northeastern Pennsylvania running is pretty good for that, so
yeah,
we
yeah.
definitely have an advantage up here.
Yeah, Colorado's pretty good too.
Yeah.
That's wild. So what? I mean, it sounds like you do better at these longer distances, but what got you into the running, and then your eyes set on these longer distances? How'd that happen?
Uh, so what got me into running was I played soccer like from elementary school all the way up through my sophomore year of high school, and then my junior year I wasn't gonna play soccer, so I had some of the cross country guys trying to get me to do it like at the end of school, at the end of the school year, my sophomore year, and like during the summer. But I just didn't want to do it. Uh, and then the school year started, our junior year. Again, wasn't doing cross country, and I took like it's like called like wellness or something. It was like advanced PE basically, and we did a mile time trial the first week of the class, and I went out with terrible pacing. I think I ran like a 5:40 or something like that, and after that, I don't know if you know Levi Upham.
Yep.
So I was in an open mat for wrestling, and like he stops by and like asks to talk to me, and like he's like, all right, like I really think you should do it. Like if you ran that time with some like better pacing and training, you could be pretty good. And I really didn't think I was gonna be that good, so I was like, all right, I'll do it. I won't be that good. I don't have to run ever again. And then that didn't work out.
Sounds like in a good way, though. In a good way.
Yeah, we're kind of a good way.
So you had kind of a late start to the whole cross country track vibe.
Yeah, so
That's
it took me a
cool.
little bit to find it.
And then when did you realize that you're actually fast?
Uh, It's like when I went to Northeast, and we're like they're pretty consistently winning the NTL title, district title, placing top whatever in states. So when I started getting to the top 5 for them, and by the end of the season, I was pretty consistently like our 2-3 guy. I feel like that's when I kind of started to get an idea that I had at least some talent for it. I wouldn't say like I really bought in until probably towards the end of my junior track season when I went to the district race, and my goal was just to get a medal in either the 16 or the 32. So 16 was first, ran the 16, got like a 4-second PR, took 8th place, so I was happy. So the 32 was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. The 32 was more competitive that year too. So that was the one I kind of figured I had a worse chance in. Because I went into the race with a 10:25 PR, and the 8th seed had like a 10:07 PR. So it's kind of like, all right, that's probably going to be out of reach, but whatever. I just won't get sucked out too fast and see how it goes. And then race starts, I go out in last place. But slowly, like everybody starts falling back, and they changed that now. But for a while, the district race didn't have a clock up, so like I had no idea what time I was running until I came to the mile, and I heard Murph run like 5:01. Which a month ago I was trying to break 5 minutes in the 16, and I was like, oh, like I'm running pretty quick.
Yeah. Wow.
And I got up to 3rd place, but I had no kick then, so I got passed by 4 people and took 7th. But I got a medal, and I ran a 21-second PR, so I was pretty happy. But that kind of got me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, like I'm going to train over the summer. I want to get a state medal in cross country. I want to do all this stuff. That was kind of when I really bought in, I would say.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know they didn't have a clock going. That's pretty wild.
It's kind of weird for the district meet to like get guys trying to hit the state qualifying time, and you just don't know.
Yeah, wow, that is something. That's wild.
So then, did you just progressively get better over the years? Is that kind of how it's been?
Yeah, so I would say I made a jump going into my senior year, which you would expect because it was only my 2nd year running ever. I actually did a summer of training. Like going to my junior year, I wasn't gonna run cross country. I'd run like 2 to 3 times a week just to stay in shape for wrestling. But I actually got a real summer of training in going to my senior year. Progressed there. Let's say I progressed again in track, like just kept building on that. I would say made another jump when I got into college. Just kind of having, more training partners, doing longer workouts, bump up the mileage, that kind of stuff. And I would say I stagnated for a little bit there. Like I got a little bit better, but not a ton my sophomore year, which was a little frustrating. Really, even I'd say after the first semester, my freshman year, like I kind of started to like dip down a bit. Which, if you look at a lot of college runners, it's pretty tough to hold like that high performance for 3 seasons. Usually, with freshmen, you see they kind of dip down at least one of them, which I dipped down during indoor and outdoor track, I would say.
Yep, I would say even 2 for freshmen for sure.
Yeah.
Then my junior year, I just kind of switched up what I was doing over the summer, training wise, and I think that just got help. I think that with combination of just staying consistent, I made another jump, and that's when I was able to qualify for nationals, do all that, and then really just came down to staying consistent and getting in the work. Like, that's like the main thing. Like whenever I talk to kids I coach, or sometimes a kid or a parent will like ask me like there's some secret thing you got to do to get fast. Like,
yeah, what is that secret
if you just do X, like you get fast. It's just staying consistent and putting in.
Yeah.
You should make up a really. You should make up a really good story. Just be like, listen, here's what you got to do. Go out, get yourself a Toyota Camry from 1992.
That's
funny.
Though.
Crazy training thing.
Yeah. I just gave somebody that same advice. They wondered, do you have any tips? And I'm like, well, of course I've got lots of tips, but one of the biggest ones is consistency. If you can get
Yeah.
that consistency, I mean, that's a big factor. So, yeah.
Casey, what are your PRs, and like give us a couple things, like maybe the mile, the 5K, 5 mile, or 10K, whatever. Just throw out some PRs for us so we can get an idea how fast you're running these days.
My mile, I don't really like my mile PR because I don't think I've ran a good mile since high school. But
That's
my
why
PR,
I'm asking about it.
my PR came from my senior year at Charleston. I ran 1 mile that year, and I was just coming off having COVID. But I ran a 4:22, which is like, it's respectable, but I really don't think it's that great for a fifth year college athlete. Like, I kind of want to find either a fast road mile or somehow get in a track race within the next couple of years here just to say I ran under 4:20.
There you go.
Because I've definitely been in like points where I've been fit enough to do that. I just never.
Yeah.
Like, I barely raced a mile ever, even in college.
I think Triple Cities, I think up here does some track meets in the summer for us
Okay.
adults. I think so. Yeah, you'll have to check out their Facebook page.
Yeah. Try to hop in one of those.
Yeah.
Misericordia does a three 1 mile races. I want to say it's through the summer, maybe. So I know Coach Chris would love to have you down there for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of theirs. Like, they get pretty legit guys to come out to that too.
Oh, we could find some guys to run with you for that one.
It won't be me.
It won't be me at present either. No, not anymore.
I don't think I don't even know if I got close to that ever. So it definitely won't be me.
I felt the same way though. I stepped away from the mile and was running the 15, and I hated the 15 or something about that distance that bothered me. And I never felt like I just kept running like the equivalent to like a 4:30 something mile, and I ran it like like sophomore year or whatever. And I was like, this is terrible. I don't even want to run this thing anymore. So I know what you're talking about. And then you don't typically revisit it because you get swooped into 2 miles and 5Ks and 10Ks, and before you know it, you're not running it anymore. So yeah, that'd be cool to see what you can do with that. What's your 5K like?
I haven't raced a 5K since college, but during it was an indoor 5K. I ran a 14:33, so that's my PR in that. And then the 10K last spring, I went to Bucknell and got into their college invite. They have a pretty big invite up there, and ran a 10K up there and ran 29:37. So that's my PR in that.
Nice. Was that outdoor or indoor?
That was outdoor.
Outdoor. Thank goodness, because an indoor 10K.
Yeah, indoor 10K sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does.
Lovely.
What would you say? What would you say your favorite race is? It could be a particular, like, oh, the 5K I ran here, or just a distance. Like, what's your favorite race?
I think it might be Diamonds, honestly.
Yeah.
Just because kind of like it's unique. It's just different. Because a lot of road races, they're just kind of like the same. Like, you just do like this little loop where you just go out and back, and it's flat with maybe a few rolling hills. But like Diamonds just kind of like, it's a big loop, but you go up that hill. There's more strategy you got to put into it. I also did one. It was early last summer. It's called Litchfield Hills out in Connecticut, and that was a really cool one because it's pretty similar to Diamonds, a 7 miler.
Okay.
It's kind of funny on the website. It has a pretty like obscure. I don't know if it's obscure, but an odd thing that they brag about where Runner's World had them, like the hill that's at the end of it is ranked like the 8th worst hill in a road race in America or something like that.
I'm gonna have to look that race up. I don't know if I would
brag
do it or not, but I wanna see this webpage. That'd be funny.
But it's a pretty cool race. It's basically like that town's version of Diamonds.
That's neat. That's neat. So I know you're coaching now. Is that something you've always wanted to do? The opportunity just came out. You thought you'd try it.
I'd say probably like once I got into college, I started thinking about coaching someday, especially being a teacher.
Yeah.
Kind of goes hand in hand. And then my first coaching job, I was actually still in college, but it was during COVID, so I was home, and I saw that the assistant coaching position at Northeast opened up, and I was over at my then girlfriend's house, and I was like, oh well, like too bad this doesn't happen like a couple years later. And then her dad was like, well, why don't you just do it now? Because I was
Yeah.
I was home.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. So I applied, got that, and that's when I first got into coaching. Kind of like stepped back a bit because I went back to school, went to Charleston, got out, helped out with Northeast for a little bit there for like a year. Then I got hired at Towanda, got the junior high track coach position there, and then started helping out coaching there. And so I like it.
Yeah. What's next for you?
So right now I'm deciding either going to do the bridge run again, or there's this 10-miler out in Syracuse called Mountain Goat.
Okay, that sounds neat.
So I saw that. It seems interesting.
Is it quite mountainous, or that's just the name of it?
Like I think it's pretty hilly, but I was looking on there today, and I'm trying to find like the elevation change for it, and I couldn't really find it, so I don't know exactly how hilly it is.
It's that bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's either a good thing or a very bad thing.
So I'm interested in that one, but I don't know for sure if I'll do it yet.
When is that one?
The same day as bridge run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why can't do both.
Yeah. Got ya.
And then I don't know for sure yet. I'm trying to find one more to do. Either like late May, early mid June, something like that.
Yeah.
And that will kind of cap off like my season.
I gotcha.
Casey, is there any kind of motivational movies, quotes, books, anything like that for our listeners that you can recommend?
So there's probably the one that everybody would say, which is Once a Runner. That's a really good book. And then the other one I would say probably my favorite nonfiction book ever is Running with the Buffaloes, which I don't know if either one of you ever read it.
I never read
I've
that.
read it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, really good book, really motivational. I think I do think you got to kind of be cautious with it. I think I'm trying to think of I think it was Scott Fauble, who was an elite U.S. marathon runner for a while. He took like 7th at New York and 6th at Boston or something like that. And somebody asked him about it. I was like, yeah, it's a great book, but everybody I knew read that book and wanted to go to Colorado. I read that book and everybody's always hurt and sick all the time. Because they do pretty hardcore training. It's either you make it or you break. I could get you motivated.
I'll have to read that one. I haven't read that one.
Yeah, they had a kind of like they had a really talented squad, but they also had some really great stories in that book.
Yeah.
And I remember reading about the twins getting chased by a bobcat for like a half mile downhill.
Yeah. See, something like honestly, like crazy stuff happened, and some crazy stuff happens that, like, because it's just some guy that decided to record that season. That he had no way of knowing that it would have happened.
Yeah.
Right. It's just it just makes it very interesting and good book.
Just happened to win everything.
Yeah.
You have to look that one up. We already kind of touched on this one, but what advice would you give to someone who wants to get started with running?
I would say just like take it slow. Like, don't compare yourself to everybody else, and do whatever running plan is best for you. So if it's a high school athlete that's trying to get in a cross country or track, that's active, still doing stuff. Like what I would recommend to them do to start is going to be very different from somebody that has never really ran. They're maybe early mid-30s, something like that. Hasn't been active, at least sports wise, in a while. Like the pace that they're going to need to start out at is going to be very different from the pace a high school athlete's going to start out at. So I would just say find whatever works best for you and something, go back to the consistency that you can stick with. Because if you go out of the gates with something crazy that you're never going to stick with, it doesn't matter. Like I can't remember where I heard this from, but it's basically like motivation is kind of bullcrap. Like, because motivation comes and goes. It's consistency and discipline is what you need to have. So some training plan can get you super motivated. That's going to go away. It needs to be something that you can stay consistent and disciplined with.
I've never heard it that way, but I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I have one question left. It's my favorite question, but what is the strangest thing you have consumed on a run or in a race?
I've really only ever consumed like gel and sports drinks during runs and races. I don't think I've ever really eaten anything on a run.
Never tried anything they hand out at
No.
Yeah, I think that's more of a Jim Schools question.
Yeah, that is more of a Jim Schools question.
He had some good answers last time on that one.
Yeah.
Jim's definitely going to give a much better answer to that question than I'm going to.
Now,
and the next time we talk to him, he probably will.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Will they be there Tuesday? I don't think so. Why losing? But
no, it's
probably
Canton.
That's right. It's probably next time I see him at a track meet, he'll tell me some foods. Yeah. That's great.
My last question is, I guess just if someone is just dabbling with the idea of running, like they have never ran anything, they're just thinking about going to a store and buying some shoes and going out for a run. Like, what would you tell someone like that? Like, what would you give them advice for, like, the first thing to do? Like, should they go run here, there, wherever? How many miles? Like, what would you tell somebody like that that's never done a thing with it?
I'd probably try it, like, again, just say start off with an easy 20-minute run, or even say, depending on the person, just try to do like 20-minute walk jog. Like, just try to give them something that they can actually accomplish. Because if I say to them, all right, like first run, you got to go out for 5 miles, which if you're an experienced runner, like me, doing 5 miles really isn't much. But to them, that's, insane. So just give them something like they're going to actually be able to accomplish, not giving them something that's crazy and makes them feel like they suck.
Right.
Like, really, it doesn't, my opinion, like it doesn't really matter how fast you run a race, or even if you walk jog a race or like whatever, as long as you're actually out there active trying to do it, like, you deserve all the credit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well put.
Yeah, so getting out there is an accomplishment, trying to get started, doing whatever you can. I like the walk run idea. I think that's excellent. Giving them a time frame is really good too. Like, don't go out and just try to do what your friend's doing or what you read in a book or watch on TV. Try to do something that's realistic. A few minutes here, a few minutes there, and then just build on that. It's really well done.
Agreed.
I am out of questions.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us, or?
No.
All
I
right.
guess I'm not a very prepared guest.
No, it's. I don't think most people do, but every once in a while somebody does. So, thought I'd ask. But really appreciate you coming on, Casey, and what you're doing in the running community here in our region. It's great stuff.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you, and we appreciate everything that you're doing, and you are running phenomenally. So keep it up.
Yeah,
right,
that too.
Keep up the good work of your podcast.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
4:22 is pretty good mile time anyway.
Yeah. It's kind of depressing when the other day I saw it was like a 15-year-old just broke 4 minutes in the mile.
Yeah,
I
but
was
there's
like,
a lot.
man, I
There's a lot
suck.
involved in that.
I know.
Some of the stuff
The
they're
thing
doing
about
is
the thing
crazy.
about the thing about stuff like that is you have to remember that like you don't know who that person's going to be. They could be the best
Yeah.
that there ever was, or they could be that could be the best mile they ever ran. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said. We hope that's not the best they've ever run,
Yeah.
but you don't know. We've met guys like that like peaked and all. They never ran faster. They couldn't hit the same times. No, things happen.
They could be
Yeah,
the
But
next Alan
hopefully that
Webb.
runner. What's that?
They could be the next Alan Webb.
Yeah. They could be the next Al Webb, or they could be the next, like, in 5 years, there's some Let's Run forum saying, what happened to this guy?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They just,
Right. And
yeah.
I mean, you see that in all sports too. Like you see that
Yeah.
with a kid that's 13 years old that's scoring, 78 points in a basketball game, and they got scholarships everywhere, and all of a sudden they don't pan out. They end up at a local school, just playing junior college or whatever
Yeah.
because they just didn't work out for some reason. So you just have to wait and see what happens. But like I said, 4:22, solid mile. Almost any circle that you get into is going to go, wow, that's a good time. You get with some elites, they're going to go, oh, that's not that fast. But once again, you haven't run it since you were like 17?
Well, I think the last time I ran, I was 22, but.
Oh, whatever. 22, 17 is the same thing.
62, 65.
47, 102, whatever. No, but like what I'm saying is like it's still a really good time, and like
Yeah,
when you're
thank
in
you.
a general audience there and you tell them you run at 4:22, they can't fathom how quick that is.
Yeah, I don't mean to like put people down that have never run that time. I just think like
Right.
compared with like my other times, and the fact that when I ran that I was a 5th-year college student.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like that quick, but again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm putting anybody down that never ran a 4:22 mile.
No, I didn't take it that way at all. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I think runners, particularly, and other endurance athletes that are in more individualized type sports, are really tough on themselves with the times and the races and the things that they. Even when we win, we don't really celebrate as much as we should. So I always tell people that, like, celebrate the victory, celebrate the fact that you were competing, celebrate all that stuff, because someday you might not be doing it as much or as frequently or to the same degree. So enjoy it now. And that's kind of one of those things that I give advice on. Like if I went back to do it again, I would have probably enjoyed those moments, even when I didn't have a good race, just because I was out there, did it, and enjoying the time with all my buddies.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice. I think everybody could use that. Like even after I won diamonds, I had a moment where, because I ran quite a bit slower than I did when I took second. I was like, I won, but like really, like I didn't feel like I ran that great of a race. But I had to like stop myself, like you said, and be like, well, I just won diamonds. Like a lot of people would be happy to do this.
Right.
Like, don't be an idiot.
come up with a good quote for the newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran really slow, but won. Don't say that. It comes out sometimes. You do say that sometimes, but no. But that's the truth. Like, yeah, you just gotta get a good quote for the newspaper. Stop, gather your thoughts, and then speak. That's what I always came up with.
Yeah.
But once again, thanks, Casey. We appreciate it. Appreciate you being on the show. Way to go.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for having me.
Maverick and Wolfman running out.